Everyone, grace and peace. Welcome to Find the Intersection. My name is Paul Dezay. It's good to be with you on this Friday. Today, we are talking about the intersections, the threads, the themes that run through our lectionary passages for this week as we approach the Pentecost Sunday. And let me put the chart on the screen so you can see our passages. This is what we've been working on this week. On Monday, we were in John 15 and 16, talking about the coming of the Holy Spirit, the companion, the advocate that convicts and encourages and empowers all people. We on Tuesday, we talked about Romans chapter 8, verses 22 to 27, which was about um, all creation groaning, suffering labor pains. That is all creation, and we're also groaning, awaiting our adoption and receiving our new bodies. And so there's hope, and the Holy Spirit comes to us in a weakness and praise to us. And then on Wednesday, we talked about Acts chapter 2, verses 1 to 21. This is Pentecost Sunday in the book of Acts, and talks about the Spirit coming for all people. And it was taking place during a festival. And Peter stands up, empowered by the Holy Spirit, and speaks a bold message from the book of Joel. And they were empowered to love, and the message spread. And then yesterday we talked about Psalm 104, 24 to 34 and 35b, which is a psalm of praise about God's creation and how the Spirit brings life to dead things. And as God withholds his Spirit, things die, right? So God makes all things new through his Spirit. So I wrote down a few intersections that I noticed this week. Again, there are no right answers here. These are just things that I've noticed, and I'd love to hear from you and what you got out of these passages. First and foremost, and the obvious one, the Holy Spirit, the coming of the Holy Spirit. All four passages spoke about the Holy Spirit in some way. And Jesus talked about the necessity for, it's better for the Holy Spirit to come, Jesus to go to heaven. And so the Spirit does these amazing things in these passages to remind us of God's presence. And he empowers us to bring us to a place of perfect love so that we're able to love those around us, so that the new creation that the Holy Spirit brings can spread. Another thing I wrote down was this idea of waiting and patience. The disciples had to wait for the Holy Spirit to come. The creation is groaning, and we're all waiting for our adoption, for our new bodies. We live in hope, waiting patiently for what God's to bring about, his new creation. And there is this element of waiting for God to do what God's going to do. Also jot down the theme of creation, new creation, that we see the Holy Spirit bringing about a new creation, bringing things to life. We see that specifically in the Psalm, but we really see it throughout all the passages, is that the Holy Spirit comes to us in our weakness, in the midst of our suffering, and animates us, empowers us. The disciples were in the upper room. They were defeated. They were discouraged, and the Holy Spirit came upon them and empowered them. Peter became like a new guy, right? And preached boldly. He was cowering before, like all the disciples. So we see the Holy Spirit bringing about new creation. I wrote down that we're never alone. And so the Holy Spirit is our companion, God's presence with us at all times, even when we don't feel it. And then I wrote down, which I've already mentioned, empowered to love, which I believe is an important theme throughout this Eastertide season, as we've taken a look at the church in the book of Acts, that they've been empowered by the Holy Spirit to love those around us. And that's something that the Holy Spirit does in our lives as well. So a lot of stuff there in the intersections this week. What did you see this week, and how does that apply to your life? I mean, this coming Sunday, we're going to be celebrating Pentecost. And Pentecost is still happening, right? It happened, but it's still happening. And as we gather together, the Holy Spirit will fall upon us and empower us to love. And so are we ready? Are we willing to receive that which God desires to bring to us, to renew in us, to bring about his new creation, to bloom, to blossom, right? So I put up the sunflowers as a reminder of this whole sermon series that we've been talking about, blooming, right, and spreading. And this Sunday, I'll put my sunflower up on the table, and we'll all talk about our sunflowers. But ultimately, this idea is to spread, to fill the earth, right? So that's what Easter is all about. Hey, we'll be back. We'll do this all over again next week. Grace and peace, everyone. You guys take care. I'll see you.